Welcome to Friday, March 25th. I don't know, man. We're fired up this morning. Kyle's bouncing across the street. No. I know it's Friday. Got the pushback swag ready to rock. All right, let's get into the show.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is.
Now Isaac is just trying to surprise us with graphics on the screen. So if you're an audio listener, it probably makes sense to go check out the podcast because it's going to get more visually interesting from this point forward. So you don't just have to look at the two of us lads. That was ridiculous, by the way. If you didn't see it, Kyle's head, there it is again. Kyle's literally head is bouncing across the screen, and it says today is Thursday, but Paul thinks it's Friday. Nice try. I actually know what day is. I had to specifically make sure I got the day right.
Right. He's like, I'm looking up in the top corner of my screen. We got this. It is Friday. Friday is an exciting day for me today because I just have a lot moving. There's a lot of moving parts. I've got dealers that we're going to be speaking with about different stuff, other vendor industry partners that we're going to be talking about partnering with ASOTU. There's just a lot of energy. We're bringing new people in, seeing how to engage them within the ASOTU and Contagious and all of the things that we're doing. It's just really cool. So I'm excited about today. I just had to throw it out there.
I love it. We have some fun stories today. But first, look, I think it is worth saying, we kind of have a hiring HR theme going today. So this is a people's episode on Friday. In today's email, actually, I'm going to give him a shout out. We haven't done this yet. But our boy Larry Feldman is just one of my favorite people in the auto industry. He's an insane recruiter. He's crazy.
No. Like, not like some people say, like he's an insane recruiter and mean like he just is so good, which that is
he
true,
is.
But your context is slightly different.
He is. So he's from Philly, and like he reminds me of all my dad's friends, which he's just so like in your face, likable. It's crazy. He picks up his phone, but he was the sponsor of today's email. So if you don't get the email, you go to ASOTU.com, go to pushback emails and look at today's, and you'll get to see a little bit about his recruiting efforts and company. Everyone I've referred him to so far thanks me. So that's all I can say. Everyone I've referred him to thanks me. But speaking of hiring, stop.
Segue
time. We have never had a segue in the intro before.
That's nuts. That was quick.
That's an early Friday's just happening and moving.
We're at 3 minutes. By the way, Liza Myers-Borges just said good morning, guys, and that just makes my heart warm, especially on HR day. Especially on HR day.
It's the perfect good morning.
It's dialed in.
We have hired several people in the ASOTU universe. So now we have kind of like team working behind the scenes. We're able to accomplish more. We're like, how are we going to wrangle this sucker? Because the thing is, when you hire competent people, they want to run, right? Which is good, because if you don't want to run, you're going to probably quit in like 6 hours. Right, you're like, these people are nuts. So we are hiring a few more positions. One is like sponsor partner development, like someone who can really cultivate our sponsorship partners and make sure they get the value and we give value back to our readers and subscribers. We're also looking for like the best event planner coordinator in automotive or outside automotive. Don't need the automotive experience, but we're going to put on some amazing events this year, both live stream and in person. And we need someone that's just down to ride. Right. So if you know anybody, or if you are that person, hit us up at crew@asotu.com. And we would love to start a conversation. Let's get into some information. Yo, you remember OG Instagram? When did you get Instagram? Do you even remember when you first got it?
Man, I've been like in and out in a few different times, but I think I was pretty early as far as just early adoption. And okay, I have this thing, I scroll it, I don't really engage with it. So I remember the days where it was like, man, this is the greatest non-algorithm thing in the whole world. Right. And not just that, but early on, it wasn't this everybody's a creator type thing. And so there was a really, really dynamic level of creativity in the space.
True.
Yeah,
that's so true. I mean, beginning it was just like, hey, this thing have these things called filters, and it makes my pictures look better. My very first post on Instagram was like, I guess I should do this. And it was me sitting out front of the building I'm in now, and the moon was up, and I was sitting outside getting some work done in the morning. And that was my very first picture. I have to go all the way back and think. But so you used to just see, right, everything in chronological order of who you followed and when they posted. So it would start to be like 2 minutes ago, 1 hour ago, 7 hours ago, 1 day ago. And
That's
then
actual timelines because that's the only number of people that were posting.
right, exactly, right. But then the algorithm took over, right? And they start developing the algorithm, so you start seeing what it thinks you want to see, and in a way that's good. It makes it engaging, and they want people to stay stick. They want to make the platform sticky and addictive, actually. And so what happens though is you just end up only seeing like a very small group of the people that you follow.
Right.
And so Instagram just announced and just released. So you can, if your app is updated this morning, you can actually click on the Instagram logo in the upper left-hand corner, and it'll give you two options. One is following and one is favorites. So when you open the app, it pops you in the algorithm feed, right? Where you just see like what, the hype, you see all the hype and the things that you've liked and all that. But if you hit following, all of a sudden you're going to realize where all those friends went. Right.
Wow.
So I did.
That's nuts.
I did
you
it this
try
morning. I did. It's awesome.
Oh,
It's awesome.
so
Like I
cool.
haven't seen this person forever, but I've been following them, but I just haven't seen any of their posts. So you can also go favorites, right? So you can favorite now people, and it'll show you just what your favorites are posting.
Wow.
So you can almost curate your own feed. But this was an attempt in Instagram to respond to the allegations that the algorithm now is telling and really influencing what people think, which it is. Right?
Absolutely.
Which it absolutely is, what they think about political issues, what they think about social issues, what they think about what they should buy, right? The algorithm, without a doubt, influences that. So if you want to get out of that world and just go straight on following, you can just go on, click the Instagram logo, click following, and now get a very holistic, organic view of the people that you forgot that you knew.
This is crazy. This is the same kind of thing. I'm wondering whether or not it'll make it more sticky or less sticky, because I think about like cross-app tracking with advertisers and how a lot of people are turning that off and probably getting less curated or
Ads,
what might feel like less curated ads out there.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we're so conditioned as a society to see curated content by algorithms that it actually makes us
going to feel
like,
weird, right?
This isn't as great as when I opened it before.
Well, my guess is that it'll probably be a little less sticky, but maybe not. I don't know. It depends on who you follow, I guess. For the people that follow like 20,000 people, it's going to be probably not sticky. But for the people that only really do follow people that they're genuinely interested in, it'll probably be better. That's like the idea.
The favorites thing. I like the favorites thing.
I like the fact that you can toggle. Right. I like the fact that you toggle. So the thought and application there is like, this is applicable to everyone that works in your store right now. Right?
Yeah.
And if anything, like I think it's probably an opportunity to connect with some of those people and encourage social media posting within your store or within your group. I've long thought that there's a big opportunity that's being missed in just basic Instagram accounts for businesses, just as an internal communication platform, right? Because if people all of a sudden, say you're a dealership, right? And you have somebody or let other people, multiple people post to your Instagram, your internal one, right? You can actually use it of like, what's everybody up to today? Right. And now with this,
what's interesting, back when I was with the store, what we started to move toward was if we spoke more to and about our employees.
What do you mean?
What would so on our social feeds, it was more about how do we communicate what we're doing, why we're doing it to and with our employees. And originally I thought, I don't just want our employees engaging with our content, right? It was like all of a sudden we started getting 75% of our engagements were from our employees.
Yep.
Well, but our engagements were bumping up and our employees were starting to get more willing to be in front of the camera, and the culture starts to take a bump because everyone kind of sees and knows what everybody doing.
Right. Absolutely.
Because now I'm watching the store's Instagram to know what's going back in the service bay,
which is so cool because you're just not, you could walk back there, but you're not walking back there, but you are opening your phone. I think there's a huge opportunity here for the people who are paying attention. And guess what? It's free. Just takes a little effort. So you don't need some fancy platform. Someone built a really fancy platform called Instagram and you can use it for free. So,
right.
Let's just transition right to this last article. Speaking of someone who built a really expensive Instagram app.
Segue.
Time. All right. So we don't have time to let that whole thing roll. Meta executives are taking remote work to a whole new level. So there's an article. I can't remember where the article was right now. Hold on. It's Wall Street Journal. Fancy that. So the so,
No way.
so Meta executives have been like taking remote work to the extreme. So the company's head of product and one of its longest tenured employees, Naomi Glitt, is relocated to New York City. That's not that far, but their chief marketing officer is moving to the UK. Their chief growth officer has been spending his time between California and Europe, but is planning on spending more time abroad. Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, there you go, Adam, has been traveling and working remotely from locations including Hawaii, Los Angeles, and Cape Cod. And Mark Zuckerberg is planning on splitting his time between California and his Hawaii compound. So they're taking remote work to the furthest reaches.
You know what's crazy? Track with me. I was actually going to bring this up and I didn't put it in the show notes, but the Census Bureau came out with kind of the move in, move outs.
I saw that today. I
was like, oh, everybody's moving to Nashville.
So
I zoom in. Well, I zoom in, and actually, Davidson County, Nashville proper, is losing for the first time ever. But Greater Nashville Metro, literally the darkest areas on the whole map of the U.S.
is your house.
Is literally all of the 5 counties that touch Davidson County.
Yep.
Which means all of those people that said, I have to be as close to the office, as close to whatever possible, I have to be downtown, are still moving to major metros, but they're moving to the suburbs.
That makes sense.
They want to be close to the sports teams and the bars and the food and the eateries and all that
stuff in the city limit.
Working sitting in the city limit.
Yeah,
crazy.
No, that's an interesting graph. We should link it up somewhere. Tennessee winning big, right? The map is, I think, what is it? Is it purple? The darker shades of purple if you're losing, and the darker shades of green if you're gaining. Yep. You know who else surprised me? Idaho was like all dark green.
Idaho was like, everybody's like, yep, we'll take Idaho.
Well, granted, they have like 2 counties and it's a percentage increase. So if like 10 people move to Idaho, it's disproportionately different than if 10 people move to Tennessee. So like,
as a percentage, we got 3 people last year. So we're up 1.8%.
Yeah, as you can expect, around the major cities like New York and New York State in general, California State in general, largely purple states. People are running for different life experiences, I guess we'll call it that way. But either way, Meta thinking about remote work, saying it's different. I think it's so much different on the executive level.
Sure.
Than it is, but I guess it's different on the executive level. But you talk about being able to rally troops and make real connection. I mean, I guess it makes sense that Meta is like, hey, we can live in another world and eat metaverse food and all that stuff. Yeah. But in the auto industry, not the same. No. Right? In your stores, dealers, but here's the difference. Like in the vendor world, in all the partners you're working with, they are dealing with a remote workforce. Like we're living it right now, building ASOTU. It's like, oh, we have people in Atlanta and Nashville and New York and Colorado, right? It's different now. And so we're getting experience that. I would encourage people, especially if you're an industry partner, to remember that the dealer life isn't a remote life. Your life might be a remote life, and you may be able to execute remotely, but the dealer life is not that way, which is why Kyle and I are so grateful that we get to still like be in dealerships on a regular basis because of our work with Contagious Auto. But don't forget that if you're an industry partner, don't lose that empathy, because your life is way different than the dealer life is.
Yes, exactly. It's like how I used to have to remind you that Friday isn't the start of the weekend, right?
Yes, but for sure.
But that's a constant, like, I remember being as a dealer and getting on a call on Friday, and they're like, the vendor would be like, it's Friday. Oh, can't you wait for the weekend? And I would be like, so there's this one time.
Yeah. Very different.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a totally different. And so I think being cognizant of that, but also recognizing as dealers that there are some of your employees that are talking to those across the way. Yeah. And that the culture shift in order to continue to engage those employees has to be really, really high and really, really quality.
So a couple things we don't have a ton of time for, because we're about to jump into the All Things Used Cars Clubhouse room, which you should, if you're on this live stream right now. Next, go to Clubhouse, All Things Used Cars. It's always an amazing room led by David Long. Yes. It's his little baby that's become actually a big baby. And it's talk about valuable, tactical, real world, applicable information. That's a lot of bulls. Yes. All right, 2 stories left. Number 1, we're not going to hang out here too long, but it was Automotive News, our lead article today, that Putin and Russia are looking to potentially take control of automotive manufacturing facilities of the companies who said, hey, we're not going to do business here right now. they said, who have ceased operations unreasonably. So this includes Volkswagen, Stellantis, Fords, Mercedes-Benz, and Renault. And so basically they're going to say there's billions of dollars.
Listen to how he's coming at automotive. That's one thing. And he's also coming at gas. You can only buy gas in Russia with the ruble. Potentially. Yeah,
that's right.
So you got like, he knows where the money is. He ain't.
It's one way to get into the automotive business.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not like you can just power the plant back up. It's, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not a, paper cutting. Right.
No, not at all.
And so like, there's all kinds of issues with supply line. Like, would China back him? Why would China even want to like try to build supply lines for like a factory that needs to be totally retrofitted when they got it kind of dialed in China? Right. So all kinds of things. It's just happening in the world. It's relative to automotive. Last story. This is one that hopefully helps you look at your younger staff with a little bit more opportunity in mind, and we'll get there. So the Lapsus hacker group. So I don't know if you've seen the story, been following it, but basically they've been hijacking companies like Microsoft and Nvidia, just stealing a bunch of information, holding it ransom, and saying, we're going to leak this unless you pay us. They purportedly extorted about $14 million. They downloaded like the source code for like the Galaxy phones, like all kinds of crazy stuff. They would show up in that company's Zoom meetings and taunt them. Like, they're pretty bold. The investigators were saying they're so fast and so talented that they thought it was automated.
It's
right?
Crazy.
I think of the way you pass information around, Kyle. You're like, here's the link, here's that. I'm like, that's automated, right? No, it's just Kyle's that fast. But turns out, 16-year-old kid in Oxford, England, living in his mom's house, right? Just living in his bedroom.
It's just like, yeah.
It's like, I have a 16-year-old kid living in my house.
Wow.
Right. He doesn't seem like he's got 14 million.
So much opportunity, right? That like just redirect these people and give them a space to use that in a positive light. How many people in your store are wanting to bring their we talked about this last week, bring their hobby or their side gig into their real gig.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they're not using it for harm potentially, or, trying to get around something, or it's just right there in front of them.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have vision, right? You don't have vision. You don't have something to work for. You don't have any real like internal reward for what you're doing. But I guarantee you, there's somebody in your parts department. There's a service advisor. There's a salesperson that knows a whole lot about technology, right? And we happen to integrating technology, making things work together. And, Kyle, you really started me thinking on this. Like, every store needs a technologist.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about IT, right?
No.
Like, no. It's a similar skill set but we're talking about hardware and we're talking about software, right? Yep. And so like this highlighted that. I mean,
and the technologist connects software to people, right?
There you go.
That's the differentiator, I think, a lot.
For sure. And when you look at what the younger generation is doing in real time with crypto and with Discord and with streaming and gaming, right? That's all they're doing is connecting technology to people. But for them, it's so organic and so natural and so second nature that I guarantee you that there's someone in your store right now that's probably shuttling cars around, right?
Yes.
And you're like, this kid. But give them a little vision, start to ask questions. Even you knowing about this right here is going to help you be a little more empathetic. Kyle, how should we end this out today?
Let's roll. Let's roll into Friday real strong. Be a little bit more empathetic with your people. Understand that they're dealing with real life things and real life problems, and they have massive opportunity right at their fingertips that they just don't even know exists until you draw it out of them.
Well, that was good. I know you couldn't hit the timing if the thing was streamed, but that's all there is for today. Hit all things used cars. If not, sign up for the email, ASOTU.com. Let's crush it this weekend.